Today, we're going to talk about, are trade schools worth it? Now, in this video, we're going to go over the truth about trade schools. Do you need to go to a trade school? Is it worth the money? Is it helpful? Does it give you a competitive advantage? I want to go over a few of those topics because those are the most common questions I get about going to a lineman school. Now, a lineman school is just another variation of going to any other trade school when it comes down to it. And I want to cover the basis because there's a lot of confusion about, do I have to? Do I need to? What can or what does it do for me if I do or I don't go? So I kind of want to cover that in this video. With Blueprint, I'm here to expose, teach, and educate you about blue collar career opportunities and things that'll help you in the skilled trades. And with that being said, let's hop into this video. For the common question number one that I get is, do you have to go to a trade school? In this case, like I said, I'm gonna be basically talking about lineman school, which is just a variation of a technical or trade school. A lot of the reference in this video is going to be about lineman school. Now, a lot of these topics aren't just for lineman school specifically. These are questions you can ask yourself about going to any school, whether that's a welding school or a technical college or school for pursuing some sort of trade job in the technical field. These are the questions that you can ask yourself that can maybe better help your decision on whether you want to pursue a trade and go to a trade school for that said trade, or if you want to just go out on your own and forge your own path. For the most common question number one I get is, do you have to go? And the answer is no. You do not have to go to a lineman school or, in most instances, a trade school. Now, there are utilities out there. There are private companies. There are places out there that will require some sort of education, or you could say a degree, because let's be honest, if you spend the money and the time to go to a technical college or a trade school, you're going to get some sort of certificate, some sort of degree that says, hey, congratulations, you completed this NLC lineman school, or you completed this 2-year technical college. Some places, some utilities will be looking for that sort of diploma or education or degree. Do you have to though? For the most part, in my experience and a lot of other guys that I've talked to, you do not have to go. Comes down to is a personal decision of, do you want to go? From my experience, I went to a lineman school. From many other people's experience I've talked to who went to lineman school, we went because we wanted to go, because we didn't know what other option we had. I didn't have any family in the trade. I didn't know anyone in the trade. So I didn't know how to get started in the trade. And I thought that lineman school was the only route I needed to take to get started, in the lineman industry. And that's just not the case with me and Blueprint. I'm trying to teach you that that is not the case. You don't have to spend the money. I'm teaching you other routes and what you can do to go get a job in this industry and other industries as well, to provide you the blueprint to getting started in a career path in the skilled trades. It comes down to is, you do not have to go, but do you want to go? So you got to ask yourself that question. Do you want to go? Do you want to spend the time and the money to go to a technical college or a trade school? Like lineman schools out there's a lot of them that vary between 5 weeks and 5 months. And they vary from $5,000 to $30,000. These are some factors that you have to kind of think about. Like, hey, is that for me? Do I want to go do that? Question number two that I get asked a lot is, will it give you a competitive advantage over other applicants or people getting into the industry? We're talking about the lineman trade here. The lineman trade is extremely competitive no matter what. Lineman schools have gotten increasingly popular over the last 5-10 years. And now with the power of social media and the internet and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, it seems like lineman schools have just been popping up everywhere. They've gotten, like I was saying, really popular. A lot of the younger generation, let's say, guys freshly graduated high school, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, the first thing that they want to do is go to a lineman school because they think that that will get them in. And that's just, quite frankly, that's not the truth. It will not get you in. It can help you get started in a trade, in the lineman trade. And I have seen that firsthand. There are schools out there that have helped students, that have given students jobs straight out of lineman school. For places like Quanah has a lineman school down in Texas, Alizzi Q Ranch. And if you're a veteran, they will basically provide you the free lineman schooling, free tooling, all that stuff. And then they will also they will give you a job right out of the school. But it's Quanah, they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and they own contracting companies all over the country and all over the world. If you're a veteran and you want to pursue something like that, then you have a better opportunity. But if you're just 18, 19, 20-year-old, there's a lot of competition out there for you guys. You guys have no experience, and if the only experience that you have is lineman school, and you go to do an interview or to do an application, and the only thing you're able to provide on your resume is, I spent $25,000 to go to a lineman school, and you think you're the best applicable person for the job, you're wrong. Can it give you a competitive advantage? I say sure, if you're, in your mid to late 20s and you have 5-10 years of working experience out in the real world, like hands-on experience, whether that doesn't have to be the lineman trade, that could be any trade, but it's having in the world construction blue collar experience, and then you want to pursue the lineman trade, the lineman career, and so you go the route of going to lineman school. Now you have all that experience in the real world of working with your hands in construction or whatever trade, and then now on top of that, you're putting lineman school experience, that certificate on top of all your other experience, and then you go in to do an interview and that kind of stuff. They're gonna look at your resume and be like, man, he has a lot of good experience. Now he has lineman school experience, which can give you a competitive advantage over the rest of the applicants with just the nature of the trade and how competitive it is. Everyone's kind of looking on how can I get a leg up on the next applicant so you can be the one to get the call out for the apprenticeship faster than the rest of the guys, right? I mean, it really is a very, very competitive thing because there's hundreds and hundreds of people that apply for lineman apprenticeships across the country, whether that's with utility or on the outside construction. Can it give you a competitive advantage? It can, but I only say it'll give you competitive advantage if you have some real life working experience on top of also going to lineman school. Because when I did it personally, I was 19 years old when I went to lineman school. And then when I got out and I applied and I had interviewed, the interviewers straight up told me, hey, like, you're 19 years old, you don't have any experience, you have lineman school experience. And I did a little bit of welding between the time of graduating high school and going to lineman school. And they said, hey, like, the best thing you can do is go out and get experience. And that's what I did. And that also helped me too once I got into the lineman apprenticeship. It didn't give me quite the competitive advantage as I thought it might give me. Once I got experience and then I'd re-interviewed and stuff, they saw that I had experience doing power line clearance. And then on top, I also have lineman school experience, and I had all the proper certifications, and we can get into that a little bit later in the video. Finally, I got the opportunity to get into a lineman apprenticeship. To answer that question is, can it give you a competitive advantage over the rest of the applicants? Yes, it can. But it depends on your situation and the experience you have in life at that point. Question number 3 that I get a lot is it worth the money? As I previously stated, there are lineman schools out there that cost anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000. Here's some things you have to think about if you want to spend that kind of money to go to a school for 5 months. You kind of have to do some research. I don't know about every single lineman school and about the certifications that lineman schools give you. I know they all differ. Like, the biggest one is NLC. But you have to think about it. If you're gonna spend the time and the money to go to a trade school, a lineman school, a welding school, what certifications does that school give you? These are some factors that you have to think about. You have to realize, okay, you gotta ask yourself these questions. What certifications does this school give you? Does it get you your Class A CDL? Does it get you a First Aid CPR certification? Does it give you a crane certification? Does it give you any OSHA certifications? What kind of certifications does the school give you? For the lineman trade, the most important one you need right off the bat is gonna be your Class A CDL. All the other certifications, you honestly can go get for free. Like a First Aid CPR, you can go down to Union Hall and they have First Aid CPR free training for anyone, to the public. I don't know, it's not like they do it every month, but you could always call the Union Hall and be like, hey, are you guys putting on a First Aid CPR training class? And sometimes they do it like 2 times a year, 3 times a year. When it comes down to, is it worth the money? I say no, it is not worth the money unless you want to put a number on experience. The certifications they cost money regardless, right? So if you want to go get your Class A CDL by yourself, it's going to cost you $3,000 to whatever, but that's going to cost money out of your pocket. These other certifications, like crane certification, most lineman apprenticeships now offer, or you get your crane certification inside the lineman apprenticeship. OSHA training, most OSHA training, that stuff you get inside the lineman apprenticeship as well. So a lot of these certifications and things that you can get inside of a trade school, you might be able to just go get for free from a union hall or looking up like classes that you're paying for if you go to a trade school. Welding, things like that. Maybe you get a job welding, you go to a fab shop, you get a job there. I mean, you might not get the certifications, but you'll get the experience, which is ultimately what a lot of people pay for anyway when they go to a trade school, especially lineman school. A lot of people say, you know, when they look back on it, they say that the money was paid for experience and exposure. Being able to be exposed and experience, you know, learning how to climb a pole, seeing transformer hookups, learning material and the way the trades operated. That's what they paid for. But ultimately, all that stuff you will learn inside of a lineman apprenticeship, and a lot of stuff you can learn just on YouTube or doing it yourself. Like climbing, you can go on YouTube right now and learn how to climb. Or I know like places in the Southwest down here in Arizona, they put on a climbing class at, I think, the Union Hall, the training center, every Tuesday and Thursday at like 5 o'clock. And I think anyone can show up and go climb poles. They have like instructors there. I know groundmen and apprentices will go there and climb after work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I believe that's open to the public. Like anyone, if you had your own climbing gear, you could show up. But that's something you'd have to call the union hall or the apprenticeship and be like, hey, ask them that question. So there are ways where you can get experience and exposure to the trade you're looking to get into without paying the money and spending the time to go to this said trade school. So this also leads to question number 4 I get is the trade school or is lineman school, is it worth it? And in the grand scheme of things, if it wasn't so expensive, I would say yes, it's worth it to go. I think it's a cool experience. I think, you know, you get pretty good exposure, but I don't think it's worth the money. In the grand scheme of things, is it worth it? No, because a lot of things you're gonna learn inside the trade school or the lineman school is that you're gonna learn all these things on the job, and everything that you learn in the school is probably most likely different how it's actually worked and done out in the real world. And then that also leads to the question of, is the lineman school, is it helpful? Sure, absolutely it's helpful because, you know, they're educating you a lot of things like how to climb poles, teaching you different materials, teaching you transformer hookups, or teaching you, depending on the trade school you go to, of course, teaching you how to weld. Like, of course, this stuff is helpful. Maybe they're teaching you how to hopefully find a job or how to, you know, what are they educating you about? Is it helpful? Yes, of course, a trade school, a lineman school, it's helpful to go. It's just, in my opinion, not worth it because instead of spending the time and the money to go to the trade school or lineman school, you can go out and get experience yourself, go get the necessary certifications. Like the lineman trade is only one of the trades where you kind of need to get your Class A CDL. A lot of the other trades, you don't even need your CDL. Maybe you need your crane cert. Like again, like you'll probably get that inside of an apprenticeship. Do yourself a favor if you looking to get into some sort of trade, whatever trade that may be, and you're on the fence about do you pursue this trade by going to a trade school and then pursuing the trade, you just have to think about like how long is the schooling, how much is the schooling worth, like how much you're gonna have to pay for it. You know, are you in a financial position to do that? 2 years, 5 months, however long the schooling is. You know, what certifications, are they gonna help you get a job once you're done with the schooling? There's a handful of factors that you need to consider and think about before ultimately pursuing it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's great. Like if you're on the fence about wanting to pursue a trade, like the lineman trade, you can spend the time and the money, go to lineman school, and it's gonna teach you pretty good exactly what you could expect to see inside the lineman trade as far as climbing poles, doing the kind of work that we do out here in the field. You can get a good experience, great exposure. Is $25,000 worth that exposure experience to you? I don't know. That's a personal decision that you're gonna have to make for yourself. I can't make that decision for you. I would say ultimately trade schools are not worth it. Some of them can be money grabs, and because they see the trend of, oh hey, you know, a lot of these young people want to get into lineman trade, and here's a school you can go to that will get you, you know, started in the trade. And that is true, part of it. But for those of you, if you're 18, 19, 20, and you're watching this video right now, or maybe you're in high school and you're on the fence about do you go to a trade school, and specifically lineman school, the other thing you have to consider is if you go to a lineman school at 18 years old, you're only 18, 19, you're gonna have kind of a hard time getting started in this trade because it's so competitive. They're looking for guys with experience and you just have no experience. My recommendation for you is to, if you decide you want to go to lineman school, which I'm not telling you you should or you shouldn't, if you decide you want to spend the time and the money, make sure that you hit the ground running and to go get some real world experience. Of course, apply, go through the application processes, do some interviews. Regardless, that's great experience right there. And you might end up getting an apprenticeship or getting a call to go to work. That's highly possible. That's not out of the picture. I'm just saying, as soon as you can, hit the ground running to go get some real world experience. Whether that's, maybe you do get a job in lineman trade, whether that's doing tree trimming, power line clearance, whether that's doing direct boring, some underground work for a company, anything related to a trade, like getting your hands dirty, working in a blue collar industry, in a blue collar trade, that's great experience regardless. If you're going to spend the time and the money to go to a trade school, just have to decide for yourself, is it worth it for you? If you're interested in getting into the lineman trade, be sure to check out the free courses we have on our website at bluecollaredu.com. Also have a $149 Become a Lineman 101 course that you can purchase and enroll in. That's going to give you the whole entire blueprint to getting started in the trade. A lot more in there that's going to help you once you're in the trade. Granted, you want to get into the lineman industry. Hopefully you can learn from this video those questions. I try to kind of answer them to the best of my ability. Ultimately, I think trade schools are not worth it because in this day and age, it's highly possible for you to go get all the exposure and experience you need without having to go spend the time and the money to go to a trade school. But it's up to you. It's a personal decision. Do you want to go? And that's a question you have to ask yourself. Hopefully you can learn from this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. With Blueprint, I'm here to expose, teach, and educate you about blue collar career opportunities and things that'll help you in the skilled trades. With that being said, I'll catch you on the next one.